everybody. Just hopping on real quick. Just wait for a few of y'all to join and then we can get started. For those of you who are joining, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this discussion who you think may find it interesting. I'm going to try to keep this one pretty short. Let me see. All right. I'll just get started. Happy Sunday. I think it's Sunday. Yeah, it's Sunday. I had to think about that for a second. Happy Sunday, everybody. If you were on, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this discussion who you think may find it interesting. I'm going to try not to take too much of your time this Sunday evening. But I want to appreciate all of you guys who are here or joining me, all of the above. I just ended a really fun and interesting discussion on Omawali Africa's channel, Pickme panel. If you have not seen that already, go check it out. It was a panel full of other quote unquote Pickmes or fellow Pickmes, and we just had a fun time. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Actually, I shared the link to that discussion on my community tab. So check it out, watch the replay, and enjoy. So just to get right into today's topic, I wanted to kind of bring this idea up of a Pickme. As many of y'all know, Pickme's in this space. Hey, Bronzebird. Pinkies up to yes, 2 Pickmes. Yes, please get the likes up. Yes, but many of y'all know Pickmes do not really get a lot of love on the space. Or they do not really get a lot of love on the social media space. I'm just now figuring this out myself. Like I said, I've only been on here for a few months my own self, and I was quickly labeled a Pickme, and I quickly found out that that's not necessarily a good thing. Well, I think it's a good thing, but you're going to get a lot of hate, and you're going to get a lot of hate if you are a woman who does not hate men, who does not have a channel that's dedicated to hating on or bashing men. So you get a lot of hate associated with that. But many of y'all know, or you may not know, like there's just been this conversation trending over and over. Like I think O'Shea Duke Jackson just did a video about it where he was basically saying there's more women coming into the space who are, really kind of talking about the manosphere more and really creating channels and different things about the manosphere. And I even saw a shout out to Danica Marie. She posted something. I think actually I'm going to share it because this is kind of what got me inspired to talk about this topic. So maybe I'm going to just share the post that she did, because I think she touched on a really good point. She has been in this space, gosh, for years. So she's been a pick me, quote unquote, pick me, even when it wasn't popular. I'm just gonna pull this thing up so y'all can see it because I think this will really touch on what I wanted to share. Okay, so let me bring it up. If you're on, please get the likes up, tag anybody on here who you think is gonna find it interesting. We're gonna talk about Pickmes. Is this becoming a fad, and how to spot a real versus a fake Pickme? Just a few thoughts that I have on the topic. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so this is something that she shared, and it spoke to me, and I was like, I wanted to read it. So it says, okay, y'all, I read Pick Up on Energy. I don't just collab with random females just because they may have similar talking points as I do. They have to actually mean and live out what they say. Some of the females y'all recommend to me seem to only be talking the way they do because it's trendy to do so now, and they think you will fall for it. Peep game, y'all, and don't be fooled and finessed. On another note, keep recommending women that are true to bridging the gaps, and I'll use my discernment to see if she's a good fit for what we are trying to accomplish. Peace to my crown heads. So again, shout out to Danica Marie. I mean, like many of y'all know, she's been in this game for a really long time. She was the pick me even before that was popular. And she's been getting hate for a long time. I'm just, in here. I've only been here for a few months. So like I said, I'm learning and growing. But basically it seems that there is, I think, a trend that's going to be probably picking up more and more of basically more women coming out and kind of trying to ride this wave of being a pick me, pick me, a submissive, basically a non-hating, a quote unquote non-male hating channel. And so I see Jessica X plus finesse, and yeah, I mean that I saw she was trending. I haven't really looked deeply into that story. Like I wanted to do a collab with Jessica X and still would love to, but yeah, I think it was this week where people were calling her out, and basically there were just some people within the manosphere who were just hating on her, and they're being like, look, it's not cool that she's getting all this male support in a space that's supposed to be dedicated to males. And you're always gonna have different mindsets on that. You're gonna have one mindset where men are just like, look, men are attracted to females, or women men are attracted to women. So naturally when a woman comes into the space, we're gonna have arms wide open because we like women, right? And then you're gonna have some men who are just like, nah, this is supposed to be male only. Women need to keep out. So you're always gonna have that tension. But case in point, it's starting to become more popular. I think you're gonna start to see more channels, more women really trying to ride this wave of pick me, pick me, pick me. And here is the thing. Just because, as Danica said in her post, just because a female or somebody can repeat talking points or can say something or can put on a really seductive shirt, you know what I mean, bat her eyelashes, have her edges laid, whatever, does not actually necessarily mean that that is what she is doing. That is who she is. And I believe personally that our culture is so infested by the modern female ideology, or rather this like rebellious mindset, that it's almost impossible to grow up in this culture as a woman and to not have to battle with it. And so for me, being a pick me, or really just being a woman who understands that a lot of the stuff that we're being told as modern women is toxic, that's just not like, oh, let me put on a cute dress and let me say, oh, I'm going to submit to you and that's it. That actually requires some unlearning. That may actually require that you need to do some work. You have to actually look in the mirror and be like, okay, like fully understanding that ideologically, that mentally, subconsciously, you have been trained in such a way that you have to unlearn. And so I think sometimes it's easy for there to be fads, and there's easy for things to be popular. And like I said, you're always going to have people who are always trying to make money off of a fad or off of a thing that's popular in the moment. So we're probably going to see more of that. But to actually really be a pick me, or to actually really be a woman that wants to be a wife, that actually wants to learn how to work with a man and raise a family, that's not just you, like I said, okay, well, now I'm going to talk soft. Now I'm going to put on a cute outfit and say I'm going to submit to my man. That's not necessarily a simple thing. And what was interesting about the panel that I was on today, many of the women were talking about how they grew up in single family households, or they grew up around women who were more masculine. And so, they talked about having this idea of wanting to be married or wanting to be a wife. And yet there's this conversation about how many of us didn't actually see that. And so it's like we have this goal, this desire, this hope, and this dream, and yet nothing in her life has been given to us or has been shown to us on how to actually get there. And so thank you for those of you who are on. Please get the likes up. We're talking about real versus fake pick me's. I see a few comments coming through. Be careful, the people in these spaces can be vicious. Facts. I see Jessica X was finessing. I don't know. I just saw that she was trending, that she's been trending. She's been putting content out for a while though. I just think now she's catching heat, which I mean that just comes with being in the platform. We're always gonna have people who love you versus hate you. It says, I listen to nothing but authentic content creators, right? None of us have it all perfect. None of us all have it together. Um, so Jessica X made 10,003 live streams. Hashtag no judgment. I mean, that's amazing. I'm like, goals. You know what I mean? If I could get on live stream and make that, I mean, look, I do it too. I mean, as long as she's not going out there, spewing lies, and if there's people who want to support her, or if there's people who believe in what she's doing, then I mean, to me, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's just the economy. Hey, thank you. Appreciate the love. Again, if you were on here, please get the likes up. Tag anybody on this discussion who you think may find it interesting. We're talking about how to spot a real versus a fake pick-me. So here's a bigger thing. My belief is because we live in a culture, right, where majority of people did not grow up in a household with a functioning, healthy family, right? Where a man and a woman were married, raising kids, and they were happily married. Majority of us, especially in the Black community, that was not our experience. Most of us are out here guessing out the gate. Most of us are out here guessing. So even if you are a woman who, you grow up and you're like, okay, I want to be married, or I want to be a wife, or I want to have a family, there is little to no understanding that most women actually have on how to do that. So for you to actually be a pick-me or to be a wife, it's there is a training, I think, and a preparation that goes into that. That is not just as simple as wearing some nice clothes, talking soft and submissive, doing your makeup right, and then just saying, I don't hate men. And I think you're going to have some of that. You're going to have someone being like, oh, I don't hate men, or, I'm a pick-me, or I'm submissive, or X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. And that's not to say that even if you grow up in this modern context, or if you grow up in this, Western system where we're taught to operate a certain way, that doesn't mean that you can't unlearn certain things, or you can't embrace new ways of thinking or new ways of doing things. But it's going to actually take a process to get there. And so I would guard against anybody just saying like, oh, okay, well, I was this, and then the next day they're that. You know what I mean? It's like there is unlearning. I will even say, I can use myself for example. There was a process of me understanding that, whoa, there were certain things that maybe I believed or held on to that have been unbeneficial. That was a process. And of course, everyone's process is different. Everyone's journey is different. But what I'm saying is, because I recognize I recognize that what was shown to me as normal, or what was modeled to me, just even from a societal standpoint, as healthy or as useful, because it's like, okay, now I have to go against the grain. That requires time and that requires work. And on the panel earlier today, there was this question that was asked to me. I see, are you married? I see you ring on your finger. Yes, I am married. But anyway, sorry, train of thought. But yeah, I am married. Which that's a whole nother thing, because like I said, you got a lot of women taking advice from women who have not necessarily had successful relationships, or even more importantly, maybe women who don't like men, which I'm like, do not take relationship advice from women who do not like men if you want to marry a man. But that's a side note. But anyways, like I said, for myself, there was actually a process that I had to go through in order to recognize, like, whoa, some of the things that I was doing, some of the things that I was believing was unhelpful. It didn't just happen overnight. And, it could be a trend. Who knows? It could be a trend the next however many months, or who knows? We may start seeing all these women, all these people popping up. Oh, I'm pick-me. Yeah, I love men. Yada yada yada. Because, like I said, if as soon as somebody recognizes there's money to be made off of that, oh, best believe they're going to try it. But that does not mean that woman actually knows what it means to live and walk that out. Because, like I said, to have been born in this culture, to have been born, I believe, literally in America, means that there is going to have to be a unlearning process that most of us are going to have to go through. That's not to say there are some people where they maybe grow up in healthy, functional families, and they saw good things at home. They saw positive things in their mother and father or their grandparents. But most of us, especially in the Black community, that's not the case. That is not the case. Thank you for the $9.99 super chat. I appreciate you. I see this. I hate the term pick me. It's so disrespectful and degrading and an insult to the elders. Interesting, interesting. As I said before, um, I didn't even really know what that meant. Like, I didn't come into the space and say, "Oh, I'm going to be a pick me content creator." And to this day, I still wouldn't consider myself a pick me content creator. I just happen to be a person that does not hate men, and I happen to be a person that is very much like, whatever the issue is or whatever the problem is, it needs to be addressed from both sides. So if I claim, okay, I'm a femininity channel, I'm going to talk to women, I have to also talk about the things that women struggle with and some of the things that women are doing that are being harmful. So if that means I'm a pick me, right? If me having honest conversations, that makes me pick me, and that's like, okay. But yeah, I the pick me sphere. Now you see, some will put on a pick me front, but as soon as they say I do, you get to see their true colors. Bingo, bingo, bingo. And so I had a conversation with somebody the other day. Um, I said, I heard a woman on the Peep Network say, pick me as a simp. Okay, I don't know who said that, but I'm just going to assume the woman who said that isn't married. But whatever. So I had a conversation with, this is another gentleman. I'm actually going to interview him eventually, but he's a successful guy, black male, engineer, has just successful on very, very many levels. And he has been looking for a wife. And we've had this conversation in private, and he basically came to the conclusion where he's just like, no matter where I go, I keep on confronting this ideology. He's like, even in women who, they may say that they may seem nice or they may kind of come off as sweet. He's like, I keep on encountering this, like, this combative, like, rebellious ideology in the women that I'm interested in. And he's at the point where he's like, I may just need to leave the country, or I may just need to go somewhere else to find what I'm looking for. And we've had countless conversations about that. So I'm going to bring him on later. Stay tuned. That is going to be another interesting interview. But I think what him and I, after talking, we kind of came to this conclusion where it's like, yeah, to grow up in this culture means that you are essentially indoctrinated a certain way. Majority of women are indoctrinated in such a way that makes us nearly incompatible to be the kind of traditional wives that we want. Right now, if you're a woman, if you are truly a modern woman, like I said, and you truly, truly, truly are like, I don't believe in marriage, I don't believe all those different things, I'm like, this conversation isn't for you, because I'm like, that's a whole different ballpark. And I'm like, a woman who was like, I don't believe in marriage, whatever, they shouldn't get married. They shouldn't seek to be in that kind of in a situation, because that would be miserable for that woman and also for that man. But I'm saying, if you are like, hey, I want to be married, I want to be traditional or whatever, but you didn't grow up seeing that, then it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of introspection. It's going to take a lot of understanding. And like I said, just speaking softly, looking cute, and batting your eyelashes a little bit does not actually mean that you know what submission means. I can say for myself, it's like me really, really, really living it, like learning to live that out, even in my marriage, and having to contend with even some of the ideologies that I had. I'm saying, whoa, like, I didn't know how ingrained some of the stuff was. I didn't know how much in our culture there is such a disrespect that we have, not only I think just for the family structure, but a disrespect that I believe just for how men are created, for how women are created. Like, to even honor or to even recognize that, hey, I wasn't created equal to a man, or hey, within this context of marriage, there are different roles. Like, to even say that or to even operate like that is to put yourself in a position where you could be taken advantage of. Like, that's seen as a negative, especially within Black culture. Like, something as simple as like, oh yeah, I'm going to go cook for him, or I'm going to serve him. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to actually act in a way that is selfless. That kind of stuff. If I'm a Black woman saying that among other Black women, oh, the hell that you will get. You know what I mean? We're almost taught to do the opposite. We are taught to be fearful of those kinds of situations. We are taught to be in kinds of situations where it's like, no, he needs to be doing this, he needs to be doing that, he needs to be doing that. And it's almost like it creates this narcissistic idea that's one based upon fear and oftentimes based upon just inexperience. Because like I said, if many of us grew up in situations where we didn't even see what a functioning family looks like, then now we're coming in with all these expectations that we pulled from maybe Disney, from maybe a few rom-coms, or maybe this movie over here, maybe that novel over there that I read, maybe the pictures I seen on Instagram of Russell Simmons and Ciara, and then we just kind of create our own idea of like, oh, well, this is what it means for me to be married. And it's not tested and proved, you know what I mean? There's not people that are holding you accountable as a woman. There's not elders, anyone that you can hang on. Like I said, it's just, we're just guessing. Many of us are just guessing. So that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to see more. We're going to see more of this pop up. I don't know how much. I don't know if it's going to take off. Because like I said, I think generally speaking, the modern female mindset is pervading, and that's not going anywhere. But I think as long as if women recognize there's money to be made off of becoming Pickmes, we may see more channels. We may see more people like embracing that. But just because a woman says that she's submissive does not know that doesn't mean she knows what that actually means. Doesn't mean that she understands the role of a wife. It doesn't mean she understands the role of a woman in a relationship. That is something that many of us don't know, have not been shown, have not been taught. And sometimes we have to go through our own process to actually understand. So for those of you who are on, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate that super chat. Again, if you guys want to show some love, please do. Also, if you want to show some love to the Cash App and Venmo, you can find me there, Shay Charday. Like I said, y'all, please get these likes up. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And so, there are women out there who are going to try to finesse some dudes. And unfortunately, some are gonna be fooled. But I think if you're with something long enough, if you're with a female long enough, then you can always tell their true colors. You can always tell if a woman is trying to finesse you, or if she's actually really, really, truly like, nah, I want to learn. No, I want to do better. I see a girl that goes out of their way to impress boys and make them seem that they're not like other girls, kind of like scent, but for girls otherwise known as internalized. Right. So according to the Urban Dictionary, that is the meaning of a pick-me. Yeah, a girl who goes out of her way to impress boys and make them seem that they're not like a right. I've seen that. I mean, if we just break it down by just basic English, like pick me, and I talk about this. I talk about this in my other video, right? All women are pick-me's. Like I have which I believe all women internally like are pick-me's. They are pick-me's for the right men. All these women out here talking about, oh, I ain't no pick-me, you're weak, yada. These anti-pick-me chicks. If the right dude walks in looking right and tight, having enough money, having the size, having the wallet, whatever, oh, she's gonna become a pick-me. All of her standards will go out the door, and she will become a pick-me for that dude. So most of these females out here talking about, oh, I ain't no pick-me, they're lying. They were a pick-me at one time in their life, and it didn't work out for them. That's my belief. They were a pick-me for one time. Some dude in their life, and it blew up in his face. Maybe they ended up being a baby mama. Maybe he ended up cheating on her, whatever. But she was a pick-me for the wrong guy. And that's why now she just want to be a pick-me. But my personal opinion is that all women have within them the capacity to be a pick-me if they are on guys who hit their bells and whistles. Just the issue is it's not popular. It's not, well, I'll take that back. It wasn't popular. Now I think it's becoming popular to a certain extent to try to get in this space and make money. And then at the end of the day, there's a lot of women who actually do not know how to be wives, like legitimately do not know what does it mean to be a wife. Not just look cute, not just put on some makeup and some eyelashes and try to talk softly. But what does it mean now to like, okay, I'm a helpmeet. Okay, I am here I'm working with my husband, but there's a vision that God has given him, or there's a vision that he's working with, and I'm to support him in that. It doesn't mean that you don't have a personality. It doesn't mean that you're unperson, but it's like there is very much a role that comes along with being a wife that does not require you just resting in your femininity. Like, oh, I'm a wife now, I'm just going to rest my femininity. It's like, no, you're a wife now, you're actually going to work. Now there's probably a lot more work now than when you were single. When you were single, you could just do whatever you wanted. When you were single, you could just walk around, you know what I mean? Just kind of make your own decisions and just, dream and dream up your perfect guy. But when you're married, it's like, oh, okay, I need to actually maintain this marriage. It's not just cooking and cleaning and, you know what I mean, all those different things, but it's like, okay, now there's emotion, there's like the emotional that has to go into it. Like, how do I actually guard my husband's heart? How do I make sure that I'm a safe space for him? You know what I mean? He's going out there working. Let's say he's in a profession where he's maybe getting a lot of criticism or there's a lot of eyes on him. It's like, how am I a safe space? And we're a safe space for one another. And so it's like, you don't get married and it's just like, oh, you're resting in femininity, which is another reason where I'm just like, this whole rest in femininity BS, like, where does this come from? Like, help me understand. What is I said the groupies are the biggest pick-me's. Yeah, groupies are the biggest. So I see a good question. What is a job of a wife? That is a great, 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 great question. I touch upon this in my podcast in my video I did a few weeks ago, how to be a wife. If you have not seen that already, please check it out because I think there are some jewels in there. There's also another video that I did a few months prior with another woman who'd been married about 40 years, and she shared her wisdom and she shared her insight. And so again, if you guys have not checked that out, maybe I'll drop the links to that in the description. Check out those interviews because those women were both of them married for like 40 years. And so they share some really, really good perspective. Okay, just like, could you tell the emotional side that the wife does for the husband? And so I would say, I think this is my personal opinion. I do not pretend to be like a marriage counselor or anything, but this is in my personal opinion. I think it is very, 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 very important that that a man feels secure with his wife. Meaning a man feels like he can share his secrets, he can share his weaknesses, he can share whatever, and that information isn't going to be blasted off on social media, isn't going to be blasted off to the mom or the auntie or the sisters or the girlfriend. Like, he knows that he has a safe, secure place with his wife. That is incredibly important, that having that trust. I see femininity is not an off switch. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think that is an important component of the emotional security, is a man knowing that he can trust his wife, especially in some of those more vulnerable places. Also, respect. Men need respect. Men absolutely need respect. If a man feels like he is being disrespected or feels like he is being minimized in any way, that is poison to the relationship. Respect, I think, is crucial, absolutely crucial to the emotional well-being of the relationship. My personal opinion. You said, do you look at your husband's weakness? Let me see. As when he expresses that to you and only you. I will say for me personally, I don't. I think because human beings are human beings, everybody has a strength and a weakness. Even men have vulnerable places. Men have vulnerable areas. Just men generally know that, in most places they can't express that. But even men need to have a safe place to land. And that's what I'm saying. I think a very important aspect of truly being a wife is being that safe place for him to land. Like I said, there's a physical component to that, but there's definitely an emotional and a spiritual component to that. There's a nurturing. And like I said, just because, and again, this is my opinion, but just because a man maybe expresses, okay, this is something I'm going through, doesn't make him any less of a man. To me, that just means that he's a human being. But again, if you're a woman that is untrustworthy, or you take those weaknesses and then you try to use that against them, or like I said, you use that and you spread that around, talk to other people about intimate things he's told you, that's the worst thing that you can do. Another thing that is horrible is when a woman, let's say a woman and they get in an argument or they have a disagreement, if you go and you now share that with your girlfriend, or you go and share that with your friends or with your mom or your family in particular, horrible idea. You don't, because what happens is, let's say you have an argument with your husband and y'all make up. But meanwhile, in between, while you guys were still mad at each other, you called your mom, you called your auntie, you called your sister. Now they're all in your business. You go make up with your husband and you guys are cool. But your auntie, your sister, your mom, they didn't forget. They're still thinking about that. They're still thinking about the beat that y'all had before. So it's just those little things. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's incredibly, to me, it's incredibly important that security be there. So anyways, for those of you who are on, please get the likes up. We're talking a little bit about just pick me past me, whether or not that is a fad. So if you are on here, please get it up. Tag anybody on here who you think may find this interesting. Again, if you would like to show support to the show, please do. You always send in your super chat. You can also find me on Cash App or Venmo. You can find me Shay Sade. Also, just really quick, for those of you who are on, if you are not aware, we are trying to get the Black Men Built Up series running. It went really, we got some really, really good responses about the different posts that I've been running on the community tab. And the goal now is to take those posts and create it into a video series. So again, if that interests you and you would like to see more positive content that focuses on the things that Black men have done to help build not only the Black community, but society in general. If that interests you, then I need you to sign up to become a channel member. We're looking to do this all by January. So again, if that interests you, if you want to get positive messages out there and start to combat some of these lies, y'all, because many of y'all know, if you're a Black man on here, you definitely know that there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of trash talking. There's a lot of money to be made off of lying about y'all and hating on y'all. So like I said, if you want to combat that and if you want to actually put positive, encouraging, truthful messages out there about things that Black men have done in the community, sign up, become a channel member before January. But anyways, yeah, I see femininity is not an on and off switch. It is not. Femininity is not an on and off switch. And let me tell you, like I said, being a submissive woman, being a wife is not, again, it's not just how you talk, it's not just how you act or just putting on a front. There is very much, in my humble opinion, because many of us haven't been taught how to do that, there is a process of training, of unlearning that you have to go through to get to that point. I said I forgot. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Snuggles, I see. I forgot to put in my feed before entering the building. Pardon me, my rudeness. I shall make sure it doesn't happen again. Please do not punish me. No, it's all good. I appreciate the love, and I thank you again. You're doing great with the truth. Absolutely. So, yeah, y'all. So that's, I mean, I didn't really have too much on this topic. I've started noticing some things, and I'm gonna keep my eyes open. Y'all have to let me know too if you start to really see this the pick me thing kind of take off. And here's the thing: I want to see more women waking up and being like, okay, what are we doing? What's going on? Because it's rough out there. It's rough out there. Like I said, I literally used to believe that females had it worse. And now, after just living and seeing what's going out there, I'm like, nah, it's these dudes. I'm like, and of course, you can find dusty on both sides. But my personal opinion, right? This is my personal opinion, is that there's just this rebellious spirit that is in a lot of us women, partially just because of the way that we were raised. And when I say rebellious, I mean like wanting to fight against some of the different things that are actually put there for our protection. You know what? I don't understand either. It's like, even when I think about all these different double standards, I have another video talk about this. I think it's Chantel Simone, where we talk about double standards. And it's like, so on one end, you want to be strong and independent and you don't need a man. But then another minute, you over talking about protect Black women. So it's like, which is it? Are you independent and strong, or do you need protection? It's like, you know what I mean? So it's just like all these things that I think get down to the root where it's just like, we have been sold some bad whip tickets. We have the wrong people giving us advice. And as a result, many people they're guessing. They are guessing. And so I certainly do not pretend to have all the answers. As I gain more wisdom, as I gain more perspective, I will do my best to share what God shows me. I'm also going to continue to bring on people who are winning in that space. You know what I mean? Continue to have conversations with women who are actually married and have been married. So they have real proven knowledge. They're not just guessing. They didn't just like grab a book, read a few chapters on submission, and they're like, oh, no, I'm the expert. And they're still struggling trying to find love. You know what I mean? And again, not to say that if you're in the process of still trying to find a husband or in the process of trying to get married, it's not to mean that you're invalid. But like I said, I think it is. I think where we fail as a culture is that where ideally a healthy culture, a part of a healthy culture is having elders, right? Is having an older generation that we can look up to. This is why, in my personal opinion, you have Kevin Samuels, who they're latching onto him. They are latching onto him. Love him or hate him, you know what I mean? Think he's crazy or not, they're latching onto him because he's like, in some ways, he's like that elder. He's like that elder that Black people have been missing. There used to be a time where it's like there was a grandmamas, there's a grandfathers, if he was lucky enough to be alive, because unfortunately we know Black men tend to die earlier. But there used to be a time when it's like they were there and they could offer us wisdom. They weren't trying to compete with us. They weren't trying to. You didn't have grandmamas going on YouTube talking about, I still got it, I can still get a man, I can still get this. You didn't have that. They knew that, okay, I'm here and you're there, and they were trying to offer us wisdom, and they were trying to help navigate this. And it's like somewhere down the line that got lost. Somewhere down the line, it's like I don't know what happened. And it's like, but I to a certain extent, we have certain elders, certain generations where it's like, where they should be talking about grandkids, they should be talking about teaching women how to be wives. They're over here is talking about how they can get a white guy. Or we're talking about, how they still got it, or how they can finesse dudes. And it's like they've completely lost sense of what it even means to be elder. What does it even mean to have a responsibility for the other generation? So that's what I'm saying. So I think a lot of women, because we didn't have that growing up, it's like we're guessing, and we are floundering, and we're struggling, and we're trying to figure it out. And then, like I said, here comes a lot of different propaganda. Here comes self-hating. Here comes feminism to a certain extent. Here comes hatred towards men to confuse these younger women. And it's like they're just trying to figure it out. They're just trying to figure it out. And I'm saying that is the culture that us women grew up in. And that's why for a woman to just say, okay, I'm no longer going to be a past me, there's still a process that needs to take place to get there. And I'm saying for you, even for you men, where you're out there, I feel bad for y'all, because it's like some of y'all are so hungry. Some of y'all are so desperate to just find a marriageable woman, or just so desperate to find a woman that you can connect with. You're just like, any little drop of water you'll take. Some of y'all are for giving up. Some of y'all are just like, I've given up. This is not going to happen, or I need to leave the country. But there's some are just like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. She doesn't hate me. Or, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. She understands that she's different than me. Like, but even with that, and I think it's also important to understand this when you get in a relationship, even with that, like if you get with a woman who's willing to work with you, or willing to cooperate, willing to be like, okay, I do want to be married, there's still even going to be a process of her of having to probably unlearn certain things. Because like I said, if you grew up in this culture where you were taught, whether you want to call it how to be masculine, how to be dominant, or whatever, you're not gonna just all of a sudden be this great wife just overnight. And same with men. Like I said, a lot of men are just kind of like, you grew up with a mom who raised you, and so it's like, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be a husband? It's like guessing. I see, are women more easily influenced by men? Yes, that's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that women are more easily influenced by men, partially because of our emotional nature. I think we're more intuitive, but I think we are also more emotional. Men tend to be more logical. Also, by the way, the way the culture is set up, the way marketing is set up most of the time to speak to the emotions of females. So I think for that reason, yes. I see her. These are Snuggles. He coming in with these questions. These are good questions. Are women more spiritually in tune with than men because of their ability to be more in the emotional state? That's also a really good question. Are they spiritually in tune because of emotions? Gosh, that's a good question. I had to think on that. I don't know that I could say yes or no. I think both men and women have aspects. Both men and women come from God, so it's like they have attributes of God's character. So I don't know if I could compare and say, oh, women are naturally more spiritual and men are naturally more spiritual. because I think, again, it's like comparing apples and oranges. Now, I will say there are different roles. Like I said, especially in a marriage, a man is the spiritual head of the household, period. Um, and so if you're a woman and you think you're more spiritual, right, but you're now trying to usurp his authority, or you're now trying to step on his toes in a place where he's supposed to have the final decision, that's off base. That's off base. And you're not being spiritual. So those are just my thoughts. But anyways, yeah, thank y'all for being on here. Again, like I said, please get the likes up. Also, side note, I just did a review of Cynthia G. And so I'd love, or just a channel review of Cynthia G. So I would love for you guys to watch that and send your reviews. My plan is to check out some more, just continue to learn more about the femininity space, since, you know, I consider this a femininity channel to a certain extent. And so I'm going to do some more research and some more deep diving, just sharing my review. So again, check out that video if you have not. I would love to hear your perspective, love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I missed something, or do you think I was spot on? And like I said, my plan is to do some more channel reviews, just some more reviews in general of some of the different topics, and some of the different content that modern women today are consuming. And I just gave my perspective on it. So check it out if you have not already. What's up, Omawali Africa? Like I said, I did a panel with him. I did a panel with him earlier tonight. And so it was fire. He was asking me all kinds of questions that I wasn't prepared for. So it was a good convo. It was like a Pickme panel. I think he had another name for it, but yeah, check it out if you have not. I shared that link on my community tab, but check it out. It was good. It was some fun stuff, and I think you will find it entertaining. I say, why do women not take a direct approach when request what they want? Oh, that is a great question. I've had this conversation with my husband so many times where he's just like, he's like, I learned in first grade that women and men, like women communicate emotionally. So my response to that is that I think generally women communicate emotionally, whereas men tend to communicate more logically. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I really appreciate it. Philip J, stay on course. Good job. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. Again, if you want to show some love, you can. You can also find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sade. But so my initial response is, okay, why can't women necessarily just give straight answers generally? I think again it's because they communicate emotionally. That's my prime example. Even if we're looking, even like I said, you'll find this prime example if you check out that chat on Omawali Africa's channel. He's asking us like these straight shooter questions, right? He's asking these straight shooter questions, and I'm laughing because I'm just like, this is the kind of stuff a guy would ask. They're going to ask a question where it's like you have to either say yes or no. It's either A, B. It's either 1, 2, 3. That's it. And I'm like, this is funny because naturally as a woman, it's like you want to look at the nuance. You kind of want to look at no, there has to be this and there has to be that. And and so I just, even in that conversation, I'm laughing because I'm like, the way to me, he's asking those questions. I'm like, this is definitely a guy question. A question. And then the responses from some of us females were like, we're looking for the nuance. We're looking for that. Wait, no, like it can't just be this. It has to be all of that. So unfortunately, I wish I could tell you you're going to find a woman that she's just a logical, straight shooter. Oops, looks like, yeah, logical, straight shooter. Always, like just is just communicating in such a way that you understand. But I think that'd be unrealistic. There's actually a, gosh, I have to see if I can find that video, but I think it was a psychologist, and he was talking about how, the difference between man and woman's brains, right? And how men, it's like waffles, right? How they tend to compartmentalize things. So it's like when you're talking about something, you're talking about that one thing. You're not seeing all the different variables. It's like you're focusing on, okay, if you're talking about finances, it's just finances. Where women, they're more like spaghetti. Their mind is like spaghetti, where everything is interconnected. So we're talking about finances. You're also talking about the clothes and then the shoes and the lifestyle and then the emotional state. And so it's like everything is interconnected. And so I remember listening to a psychologist and I laughed because I'm like, that is 100% facts. Like if you have ever been married or in a relationship with somebody of the opposite sex, or if you just sit down, listen to just go and listen to the Manosphere for an hour, then listen to female YouTubers, and you will see that the way that they talk, the things that they talk about, and the way that they even communicate is different. How many times do you listen to a woman and it's the I feel like, 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 I feel like. Even if you listen to Kevin Samuel's show, you call in, he asks, oh, okay, how much money do you want to make? Or how much money does he need to make? And the answer is, well, I feel, like he doesn't really need to have a lot of money. I can love guy without money, but we just need to be in a really big house. And he's just like, you know what I mean? So men and women communicate so differently. Men and women communicate so differently. So that's what I'm saying. Did you say make logic great again? Make logic great again. Like I said, you're not going to get a lot of logic on my personal opinion, what I've seen up to this point. You're not going to get a ton of logic within the female YouTube space. You will see it in certain channels. But it's a lot more narrative, and it's a lot more emotion, and it's a lot more, this happened to me and my friend, so therefore this is true for everyone else. Whereas I tend to see on some of the more, the male focused channels, to me, it seems like it's more as, there's a little bit more logic. There tends to be a little more like, okay, so what's actually happening generally? Just because it's happened to me doesn't mean this is everybody. That is just my assessment of the thing. You said women's brains are about 11% smaller than men's in proportion to the body size. I don't know about that. I'll have to double check. I will have to double check that stat. I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds interesting. I see Black Manosphere get some beautiful Pickme chicks. Right. Um, oh, I see smaller brains allow certain features such as a slighter, higher ratio of gray matter to white matter and a higher ratio of connection between. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Because if I did a video who said women have smaller brains than men, do you know how much hate I would get? That may actually be an interesting video though. So you may have inspired an idea, Snubbles. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I see women tend to want to have a walk around or backdoor out of anything they talk about. They monkey branch in conversation. Accountability is kryptonite. So I honestly can't even push back on that, because I think that is right. I don't even want to say, I don't think that this is necessarily a natural thing as much as I think it is something that we've nurtured in this culture. I think if we were in a culture where, as I mentioned earlier in the show, where if you had maybe elders or grandmothers or certain people who were kind of like the check and balance to keep you in check, then I think you wouldn't have the push of women being like, okay, let's remove shame from whoredom, or let's remove shame from having 6 kids with 5 different men. Like, you wouldn't have those kinds of conversations, because there'd be elders who are like, this is the standard, and stop. You know what I mean? But like I said, now that doesn't exist. We don't really see the elders like we used to. We don't see grandmamas like we used to doing that kind of stuff. There, a lot of them, like I said, YouTube granny, shout out to Red Supreme. You got YouTube grannies over there, like competing for some of these young 20-year-olds, talking about the same stuff that 20-year-olds and teens are talking about. To me, that's the issue. If you're a 50-year-old woman and your conversation sounds no different than somebody who's 20, to me, there's a big problem there, because you would hope that with age comes wisdom, but that's not always the case. I see. Okay, so you're saying it's true, but women's brains are also highly more functional. Okay, so I've never heard this. I'm gonna have to look into this. Are women's brains smaller like that? I'll have to look into that. Sounds interesting. It says don't listen to Suckles about that brain talk. He tripping, sis. Good night. So anyways, no, we're just messing around. But anyway, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So yeah, so that's y'all, that's basically it. And again, this is just my hypothesis or my guess, just because within this last week in particular, I've seen a lot more talk, a lot more discussion about women entering the manosphere space and operating like Pickmes. And my point is, just because a woman is submissive and can spew some talking points, as Danica Marie said earlier, does not mean that she actually knows what it means to be a wife. Most women today were not trained to do so. And in order to do so, it is going to require, in my humble opinion, it's going to require an unlearning and a relearning. That's what I'll say for myself. When I got to the point where I was like, look, I want to get different results than what I have now. Like, I need to unlearn and relearn some things. I had to really get honest. I had to start asking myself certain things, certain questions. I had to I started getting mentored from different people in my church, different married women who had been married for some particular time. Even to this day, I have women who I talk to. If I'm going through something, if I'm struggling with something, if I'm like, I don't understand something, I'll call and I'll be like, help me understand this. So it's like, for me personally, it took very much an active approach of trying to do my own seeking out, me really praying and asking God for guidance, me really, really praying and looking in the mirror and being like, where am I off? Right. And then finding that accountability within community. And I'm not talking about accountability necessarily from other single friends. Like, it's okay to have single friends if you guys are on the same journey of wanting to do better. But like I said, you need to have people who have been there. You need to seek those people out. You know what I mean? And to me, that is like so crucial. Being around people who are already successfully there, who, like I said, have already been married, already raised families, already have some real practical spiritual wisdom. Like, without that, to me, I don't think I would have even been able to unlearn some of the things, you know what I mean? Or been able to understand some of the different lies that I was believing. So, but I think that's a whole nother topic. But like I said, just because a woman got some cute eyelashes and she look cute, don't mean that she is a pick me. Like I said, some dude said it earlier in the chats. Some of these women, they may act all quiet and submissive, and as soon as they got the ring in their finger, they will go and be all aggressive and masculine and all kind of stuff on you. And being a wife, that is also a hard position. Like, there's a whole mind shift, spiritual shift that has to happen. And oftentimes that means going against what we see in culture as normal. We see in culture as normal women running the show in certain capacities. Even if you look at some of these sitcoms, I remember I was watching This Is Us, which is a really popular sitcom. And in the sitcom, um, there's been crucial moments where it's like, so many moments where it's like, they're trying to make a decision, and instead of the man being the man and being like, okay, we're gonna do this, it's like the woman takes the lead, or the woman is like, you're gonna do this, and the man just kind of like cowers. And I started to notice that even in different popular sitcoms that I love, I started to notice how the men oftentimes are really taking on more, like, I don't want to say feminine, but kind of like supportive roles, where the women were the one running the show. They were the one making decisions for the family. They're the ones who were really moving things along, and the men were kind of just like there. And I even started to notice that, like I said, these are popular movies and sitcoms. So like I said, it is, the brainwashing happens on so many different levels. It is sometimes in our families we're seeing it, and then sometimes on social media. Then we're seeing it on sitcoms. So it's like, you really, to a certain extent, almost have to be countercultural and be like, everything about what I've seen to a certain capacity is not serving me. I have to do better. And like I said, that is where having accountability, having a strong relationship with God, and having people in my corner who can hold me accountable and who can help guide me spiritually, practically, emotionally, so crucial. And I think those are some of the kinds of steps that women need to take in order to get to the point where they really can even be wife material, if you will. You said black men take the biggest L with the dumb. Facts. You said they do be looking cute. I personally know some beautiful single women that I would never recommend to one person. Never recommend. And I'm just like, you are beautiful and you are young and you are in your prime to a certain extent and you are absolutely crazy. You need to go sit down over there and like heal for the next 10 years. Like, so I'm like, I know what's real out there, but you look at their Instagram and they're like, it's like, whoa, like you're beautiful, like you got abs, you were tall, all this kind of different stuff. It's like, wow, like you are like physically, like I know you're getting attention. Like I know you're getting attention, but I also know you will not be able to keep a man. And because I can talk to you for 10 minutes and find out that you don't need to be with anybody. So like I said, it's real out there. It's real out there. He said even antifreeze is even antifreeze is sweet. I can't with you guys. So anyway, so yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm getting hungry, y'all. It's like dinner time over here. But anyways, I think I really appreciate all of you. Also shout out to some of my new members. I really appreciate you guys for signing up. And again, like I said, if you want to start to combat um some of this male hating just tribe out there and start to have really good, honest, healthy conversations about the different things Black men have done in the community, definitely sign up to become a channel member. I was, really inspired to see some of the positive support I got from some of the different posts. And I'm hoping to get enough support so that we can actually make that into a video series. And like I said, just get the conversation out there, because I think once you start having enough lives, you start having enough of just the propaganda, because a lot of that stuff low key is just propaganda. You need to combat that with like the facts, So choice is y'all, choice is yours. But yeah, so I'm gonna sign off. It's been a good conversation, and like I said, check out the channel membership, and also if you haven't checked out that channel review that I did at Cynthia G, check it out, leave your comments, and my goal is to do more, check out some more, especially female content creators, just because like I said, I'm in the space and I want to learn more. So be on the lookout for some more reviews. All right, talk later. Bye.